societies have progressed, it's people who create local communities. So education, um, building these bridges between the social entrepreneurs and the artists and all that, but also living in your community, being conscious not just about your own home, but people who are living in that community. Um, one needs to write a book on that question, actually.
Okay, the woman here, final question.
You spoke about the permissibility of music in Islam, and you've spoken quite a lot about all the positive things that come out of music, for example, unifying people and bringing them together, which I completely agree with. But obviously, there are things that can be associated with music which, from an Islamic point of view, would be considered wrong, like the whole clubbing thing, alcohol, sex, drugs, whatever. Has that ever, I mean, obviously you don't play nasheeds or whatever, you play music that riles up people's passions. Is it something that has ever impacted? Is it something you've thought about that's concerned you at all? Or
okay, great question. Well, look, for 1400 years, the planet has had all kinds of cultures, and Muslims have. It's not like that they were just limited to Makkah and Medina, right? Muslims have lived all over the planet, and they've come across in the last 1400 years everything that is sacred and profane. There's a duality, right, that people live with. And even in our hearts, there's a duality. There's mud and spirit. So what differentiates us from a community which is proactive as opposed to a community which is destructive, right? Is our ability to make choices, moral choices, right? But I think those moral choices are personal. I made my own moral choices. I look at artists like many Western artists who have also made those choices. Like Bono is one of them. He is in the spotlight of mainstream pop culture. But what does he choose to do? He chooses to use the power of that pop culture, the platform it gives it, but raise awareness for HIV/AIDS. He's done so much social work all around the world. Now, what he does in his private life, I'm not even concerned with. It's not my place to what he does in his private life. Similarly, for a Muslim artist, it's the same deal. If someone is living a proactive life, trying to do good, what they do in the privacy of their homes is their business. Unfortunately, it seems like that the Muslim culture that we live in today, it's everybody else's business. Your business is everybody else's business, and we want you to transform. We're not you. We want the other person.
You don't feel any kind of responsibility for the impact that your music can have?
So my responsibility
no,
is.
I'm just asking. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Sorry?
Have an impact on somebody's choice to drink alcohol or not?
Well, you become role models, don't you? You do have an impact in terms of setting a trend for what's considered.
I'm not saying you should be responsible or not. I'm just interested as to what your opinion is.
Well, I'm simply.
I think he did explain it quite sure. I think it's one person's choice, whether I'm Sufi inside my house or drinking with my person.
See, I'm not enforcing. This is. I'm learning this as well. That what I do is me, right? But if somebody wants to be inspired by it, great. I look at. I have so many different role models. From history. I read. I read a lot, and the things, and they're not all perfect angels. All these people. They had faults within them, but you sift through the faults and you take what you can use, what you think is usable. And I mean, that's how I've been able to do what I've done in my life.
I mean, maybe the thing is not to idolize people, but to kind of be connected with yourself and the moral choices you make, and to see people as being human beings, and
Great. There are no angels. There are no perfect beings on earth. We are all sinful people, right? The best of us are sinful as well. So the fact is, to be some sort of project yourself as some sort of a Khalifa, I think is stupid.
Oh, okay, now we have like 2 more questions, but we're really out of time, but I can't really turn Rash down from a question, so can I please squeeze this last question in, please?
I feel honored, Robbie. Wait, how about you?
Rash is one of the founders of the City Circle. So.
I just want to really say, I've not really been a big sort of fan of the whole Pakistan sort of zeitgeist because I've only been once in my life. That was probably 2 years ago, and going from Muzaffarabad all the way to Bahawalnagar. And for me, I was kind of disappointed because I almost idealized this land belonging to my sort of forefathers, and I'd go back there and somehow find a connection which I missed out on here. But actually, when you sang that song today, Dil Pakistan, even though I've never really been connected, it kind of woke up something.
You woke something up.
You got my little whisper going again. And what I say to you is, first of all, you're a very, very brave man. Because in this sort of context, especially somewhere like Pakistan, to kind of put your head up the parapet, you literally do get blown up. And to carry on with this sort of jihad, what you're doing, that is exceptional in this sort of environment. Because the number of people, I mean, even somewhere like Britain, where over the last 10 years, something like City Circle, the sort of opposition that we face, we don't do anything really radical or revolutionary like you guys. So, and I'd say in terms of what the mission or what the connection is, I think it's very, very simple. Go back to the 80s, you know, the Imran Khan era, you know, when he used to roll out at Edgbaston and lost that final six against England, you know, over the pavilion. that feeling we had in young Pakistani, whether it was British or American or whatever, is we felt proud at last. That something came out of Pakistan that we felt proud of. And I think that's all it is. I think the stuff you're doing, you know, as long as you stay cool, and as long as you stay humble, because a lot of these rock stars kind of do the plot of it, but if you stay humble and you stay connected in the way you feel again tonight, and keep talking to young people, I want my kids, you know, I want role models for them, and really, it's the musicians, you know. Unfortunately, over the last 10, 20 years, it's almost the rap artists in America who've kind of taken that space, and I've always felt that the Muslim, shall we say, musicians, the Nasheed Brigade, nobody really kind of thought they were cool. They were, with the greatest respect to them, you know, because whenever they kind of Islamized, it's like Cat Stevens, he was a rock star. But as soon as he became Muslim and he started singing Islamic songs, nobody was interested. So, in the same way, I say keep cool, stay connected to the young people, and as long as you stay humble, I really do believe that you're finally exporting something from Pakistan that young people, I'm no longer young, I'm sure my next generation, would want to buy that CD, would want to be part of that vibe, and to challenge kind of the extremist culture and whatever, which is also kind of is cool as well, being militant and being hard and kind of facing the kuffar. That's the battle that's going on. So again, I just want to really applaud you and say it's a fantastic job you're doing, and I really wish you the best of success.
Thank you.
I'm gonna actually ask Salman if you could finish with some music, but I'll give you a minute to think of something, and in the meantime, I'll just make a couple of announcements. The first one is that next week's City Circle is actually also supporting Allah Made Me Funny on Sunday, which is comedians, and you can check that out on our website, how to book tickets, so that's next Sunday. But for today, I'd really like to thank Salman for an absolutely captivating talk. I'd also like to thank Danny Spitz, who made you cool. And I'd like to thank Allah for the whisper in your heart. I think what you just said is such a profound thing that, you know, could make us as Muslims great, which is following those whispers in our hearts, which sometimes are quite risky and dangerous things to follow, but Allah puts them there for a reason, because they have great power to transform, and certainly the music has great powers to transform. I'm sure all of you would have been touched by it today, and for me, sitting here at the front, I can feel the power of it. So all the best with your NGO and with the music, and thank you so much for coming and talking with us today.
Thank you. I just also want to say that, you know, you've been a great audience, and also clarify something. You know, I came here, you know, the book came out, and for the last 4 months I've been going across, you know, like this in the States, and two people who I'd never met before, you know, personally, but like this is the power of the world that we live in, the internet. I want to thank Fatma Malik, I want to thank Majid Nawaz. And unfortunately, there's some controversy that happened. You know, when I said to them, look, I want to do the same thing that I'm doing in the States, I mean, in England. So they said, look, you know, this is only 10, 15 days.